Good evening and welcome to what's going to be, for most of you I'm sure, a truly interesting, informative and entertaining hour or so. Now the reason I say most of you is because obviously many of you will be hypnotised, and for those of you who are hypnotised it will be a very relaxing, enjoyable, if somewhat slightly unusual experience. Now although you'll hear me say the word sleep rather a lot tonight, none of you will actually ever be asleep. Or at least I hope you won't, because if you're hypnotised, you'll be fully aware of everything that's going on around you at all times. You'll just have this overwhelming desire to do almost everything I say. Now the reason I say almost everything I say is because it is impossible, and that's true. It is impossible to make anyone say or do anything that would totally contradict the morals or the values. So what I'm ideally looking for this evening are about a dozen people with no morals and with no values to come up here onto the stage. Although I say I want about a dozen people, in an ideal world I'd like about 40 or 50 of you to come up here right at the start, so we can find those of you with the best powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration, because to be a good hypnotic subject you must have good powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration. Having said that, of course, if you are thinking about volunteering for this melee this evening, the best thing you could do is come up here with an open mind, with the idea of letting yourself go, relaxing and giving it a try. If you come up here with an open mind, that's all that really matters, although, to be honest, there are 4 types of people that I will not and cannot hypnotise. Firstly, for medical reasons, I'm not allowed to hypnotise anyone who is asthmatic, clinically depressed, suffering from any heart conditions, or any pregnant females, although if you're not pregnant, see me after the show, I'm sure we can sort that one out. Seriously though, there is one other class, and that's the schizophrenic, so if you're schizophrenic tonight, go and F off to one of Paul McKenna's shows. That's up to you. Secondly, I'm not allowed to hypnotise anyone under the age of 18. That's not because there's any rule or anything about how old you have to be. It's just that, to be honest, purely and simply, I hate kids. So I'm sure we won't have any problems there. Thirdly, I'm not allowed to hypnotise, or more to the point, I can't hypnotise anyone who does not want to be. So if you're going to come up here and think to yourself, you can't hypnotise me, simple answer, I can't, and you'll be wasting your time, my time, and the audience's time, so just stay in your seat and only come up if you really want to take part. And finally, I'm not allowed to hypnotise anyone who's drunk, and the reason for that is drunk people already think they're hypnotised, but I'm sure we won't have any problems there all the same. Now, basically speaking, virtually everybody can be hypnotised, which is in fact true. Unfortunately, it's not always possible for me to hypnotise each and every person that comes up here on the stage right at the start, and that's mainly due to the short time space available, as I'm sure you'll appreciate. Finally, a few little things I have to run past you, and that is that under hypnosis, it's just a very relaxing experience. A lot of people say to me, Alex, because that's my name, they say to me, what's it like when you're hypnotised? And I just tell people exactly what most of the women have said to me when they've been hypnotised. They say to me, Alex, that was better than any orgasm I've ever had. To which I normally say, well, obviously you've never slept with me, but that's an entirely different story. So if you're thinking about volunteering tonight, then you must have good powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration. And to find this out, which of you have got good imaginations, we're first of all going to do a little test to see how good your imaginations is. So each and every one of you in the audience, I'd like you to put down your handbags, your purses, and anything else. And if the women could do the same, that would be a great start. Superb. Now what I'd like you to do now, as I say, this is not hypnosis, it's just a little test to see which of you have got very good powers of imagination. So I'd like you to place both your arms out in front of you like so. That's great. Roughly at the same level like that. And then just close your eyes. Okay? That's superb. Because I'd like you to imagine now that connected to the middle finger of your right hand is a helium balloon. It's tied to the middle finger of your right hand. And this helium balloon is getting lighter and lighter with every second that passes by, pulling your hand further and higher up into the air. Now, on top of your left hand is a pile of very heavy, leather-bound library books, and these are getting heavier and heavier with each second that passes by. Now, each time I count 3, 1, 2, 3, and click my fingers like that, as quick as that, a snap of the fingers, the balloons are going to get lighter and lighter. And each time I click my fingers like that, the books are going to get heavier and heavier. So here we go, 1, 2, 3. Books getting lighter, heavier indeed, heavier and heavier. Balloon getting lighter and lighter all the time. Okay, now each and every one of you in the audience, just open up your eyes, look where your hands are. Now you'll notice some of you are like that, some of you like that, some of you like that. The further your hands are apart, the more imaginative you are. As I said, that is not hypnosis, but if your hands were a fair distance away, then it shows me that you can be a good hypnotic subject tonight. Now we've covered imagination, we need to cover concentration. So this is a little test involving each and every one of you. So if you could just on the count of 1, place your hands out in front of you like so. 2, you'll interlock your fingers, so the fingers of the left hand are against the back of the right hand, and the fingers of the right hand will be against the back of the left hand. Palms pressed tightly together, thumbs down on top, and you'll squeeze your hands together as tightly as you can at all times. Listening only to the sound of my voice and doing exactly as I say. Now what will happen with this if you concentrate, as I'm sure you will, you'll find that by the count of 20 that your hands will be stuck fast tight together. It will be impossible to separate them. Indeed, for you it will be 100% total reality. In fact, if you use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively, you'll find your hands may begin to shake violently like this. Don't worry, it's perfectly natural, it happens all the time, you won't go blind and your hands won't drop off. However, it does mean that you've got superb powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration. So without further ado, on the count of 1, hands out in front of you. 2, interlock your fingers to the fingers of the left hand against the back of the right hand, the fingers of the right hand against the back of the left hand. Thumbs down on top, palms pressed tightly together, and just keep squeezing your hands together as tightly as you can at all times. Because I'm going to talk rapidly. If you can't hear me correctly, it doesn't matter. Just keep squeezing your hands together with each second that passes by, because every second of every minute that passes by from this moment forward, your hands will get tighter and tighter. Now on 2 and 3, just close your eyes and concentrate on your hands. That's it, each and every one in the audience, just close your eyes and concentrate on your hands, because on the count of 4, imagining now that each and every muscle from your wrist, your elbows to your shoulders is stuck fast tight, superglued in place, rigid and firm. As on the count of 4, 5 and 6. Hands getting tighter and tighter with every breath that you take, every noise that you hear, and every word that I say. 6, 7, 8. Getting really tight now, almost as though the perspiration that starts to form on the palms of your hands is turning to the world's strongest superglue, sticking your hands stuck, fast, firmly, rigid, concreted and cemented together, making it impossible to separate them if you use your powers of intelligence. Imagination and concentration effectively is on 9. The tighter they get, the more they stick, and the more they stick, the tighter they get, as every muscle from your wrist, your elbows, your shoulders stuck fast tight. As on the count of 10, it's almost as though a steel bolt is being placed through the centre of your hands, and the knot is being done up tighter and tighter as you imagine that bolt getting so tight now, so extremely tight, it's like your hands are pushing tighter and tighter together at all times. It's like your fingers of your left hand are being pushed, welded, cemented to the back of the right hand. It's like the fingers of the right hand are being pushed, welded and cemented to the back of the left hand. And the palms are being stuck together with that world's strongest superglue if you use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively. Then for you, you will find your hands getting so stiff, so tight, so cemented, locked, glued, welded together that for you it's 100% total reality. But at all times, keep believing in the world's strongest superglue. Keep believing in that steel bolt going through the centre of your hands, and you will find that with every breath that you take, every noise that you hear, and every word that I say, that your hands will get tighter and tighter with every second. 11, 12, 13. Getting really tight from this moment forward. Every time I click my fingers like that, every time I click my fingers like that, your hands will get 100 times tighter, getting tighter and tighter. As on 15 and 16, getting extremely tight now, tighter and tighter. 17, that super glue is stuck fast, rigid, cemented, locked and welded your hands together. As on 16, 17, 18, tighter, tighter, tighter with every second. 19, using your powers of intelligence, imagination or concentration effectively, finding that your hands are feeling as though they're being welded, cemented, locked firmly, rigidly together, making it impossible to separate them if you use your powers of mind correctly. And on 20, keep believing in everything I've suggested to you at all times, and you will find that with each second that passes by from this moment, if you use your powers of intelligence, imagination and concentration effectively, then for you it will be very real indeed. Now, each and every person in the audience, keep believing in everything I've said at all times. But at this point, open your eyes and stare directly at your hands. Just stare directly at your hands and keep believing in everything I've said. Now, what I'd like you to do is place your hands up above your head like so, up above your head, and keep believing, because you'll notice as you put your hands above your head, your arms start to feel very tired, and they're getting tighter and stiffer. Now, even if your hands are only slightly tight at this moment, what I'd like you to do is walk this way towards the stage and enter my hypnotic world where there are no limits. That's it, just walk this way onto the stage. That's superb. What I'd like you to do is just stand about here, if you would, face that way. That's super, on the trapdoor. That's perfect. If you'd like to just put your hands against your chest like that, that's super, because each and every time I click my fingers, your hands are going to get tighter and tighter all the time. What I'd like to do first of all is just ask you a few questions. What's your name?
Laura.
Nice to meet you, Laura. Have you ever been hypnotised before?
No.
You haven't. You've never been hypnotised, mesmerised, pulverised, pasteurised, circumstances being what they are. What we're going to do is we're just going to ask you, if you would, just to face that way, stand about there, put your feet together, hands against your chest, tilt your head well back, close your eyes, and take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth, noticing your hands getting tighter and tighter. Now, I'm not going to let you fall and hurt yourself. I'm just going to count from 3 to 1. As you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, you'll find each and every muscle in your body rapidly relaxing. Now, I'm not going to let you fall and hurt yourself. I'm just going to let you fall into a beautifully relaxed state. So on 3, the deeper you go, the better you'll feel. And the better you feel, the deeper you go. On 2, I'm just going to tap you on the back as I do. It's a sign and a signal to relax. It's a sign and a signal to relax. The deeper you go, the better you'll feel as you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. On 1, you do yourself on the back, 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 and sleep. Relax, 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 resting your head. That's super. The moment I touch your hands will separate, your eyes will remain closed, but the moment I drop your hands on the floor, you'll sink deeper and deeper to sleep. The deeper you go, the better you feel, and the better you feel, the deeper you will go with every breath that you take, every noise that you hear, and every word that I say. For the rest of this evening, I'll not be talking to you if I touch you on the shoulder. Only if I touch you on the shoulder. It will not disturb you in any way, and unless I say otherwise, your eyes will remain closed at all times. You will feel perfectly relaxed, and you will breathe deeply and regularly. So I'm only talking to you if I touch you on the shoulder. I'm now talking to you. For the rest of this evening, whenever I say sleep, as quickly as that, a snap of the fingers, as quickly as that, a snap of the fingers, your eyes will close, your heavy eyelids will stay shut, your heavy head will fall forward onto your chest, and you will re-enter this state. Except for you, each and every time you re-enter it, it'll be 100 times deeper, more relaxing, and enjoyable for you in every way, shape, or form. But this evening, whenever I say wide awake, only when I say wide awake, then and only then your eyes will open. You'll be normal self in any way. But however, if I've suggested something to you, you will, as an automatic reflex action, carry that out. So whenever I say sleep, as quickly as that, you'll re-enter this state. But for now, 1, 2, 3, wakey, rise and shine, up you get. Don't worry, we got the driver's name, and we did get his number as well. That's super. If you just like to take a seat there, I'd just like to sit down. You probably noticed I was hypnotising a few people before. You wouldn't be hypnotised, would you? You wouldn't be as daft as that, would you? No, of course not. What was your name again? Laura, yeah? Okay, Laura, just have a little look at me. Nice deep breath in. And sleep. Relax, relax. In a few moments' time when I wake you, you're going to have an overwhelming desire to realise as a 100% total reality that the number 7 no longer exists. You can no longer say, count, or think the number 7. Eyes remaining closed at all times, but just nod your head if you understand. That's super. You'll not be able to count, say, or think the number 7 when I awaken you. It will no longer exist. You'll find that when you count your fingers, they'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the number 7 won't be there. They'll go 8, 9, 10, 11. You'll find it very strange. You won't understand what's going on. You'll just wonder what the hell's happening until I say sleep. Then you'll re-enter this state. Okay, 1, 2, 3, wakey, wide awake. That's super. If you just like to take a seat there. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with hypnosis, almost anything can happen. All that happens when you're hypnotised is the imagination is enhanced by 10 times, sometimes as much as 100 times, so that what is 1 minute purely imaginary is the next minute very real indeed. And hopefully we can demonstrate that now with just a little bit of an experiment. Okay, Laura, are you good at counting? You did maths at school, no doubt, like we all did. General knowledge, are you good at that?
So-so.
So-so. Okay, I'm going to ask you a few little questions in a few moments. But first of all, without looking, dead simple, don't wish to insult your intelligence, but altogether, including your thumbs and your fingers, how many fingers and thumbs have you got altogether? 10. Okay. What I'd like to do is place them out in front of you like that. That's superb. I'm going to point to them. I just want you to count out loud. That'll be great. Okay, so that's 1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Okay, so if you've got 11 fingers, how many would that be on each hand? 5 and a half.
5 and a half.
Yeah, not quite right. Tell you what, let's just do that differently. 1, yeah? 2,
3, 4, 5.
So there's 5 there, and there's 1.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5 and 5 is?
10.
10. So we'll just do that one more time. That's 1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11.
It's not, I'll tell you what, just put your hands down. We'll try general knowledge. Films, okay? I'm going to give you a film title, leave a blank. I want you to tell me what the missing blank is. Snow White and the How Many Dwarves?
8.
Okay, we'll try another one. How many wonders of the world are there?
6.
6. Okay, I'll tell you what to do. Just sleep. Sleep, sleep, sleep. Relax. Relax and stay. Okay, we're going to wake Laura up in a few moments, and then we're not going to hypnotise her again, purposely, in order that I can demonstrate to you different induction methods. What you've seen so far, basically, is what you would do from the moment of walking onto the stage. The patter that you've heard, and patter is the term we use in the trade for words, the script, whatever you wish to call it, involves everything that you need to say to cover yourself legally, with reference to the different types of people that can't be hypnotised for various reasons. For more information on that, refer to the manual that contains all the hypnotism laws that you'll have got with this course. Now, also it covers a little bit of getting rapport and relaxing people in the audience. And then you've got the 2 different tests. You'll find them in the course under suggestibility test. The first one with the 2 hands, we call that the light and heavy hands test for obvious reasons. So you can refer to that imprint and see how it looks on video. The second thing we did, which was the concentration test, is the clasped hands, or the locked hands, as it's called in the course. And again, you can watch that on the video and refer to it in the course. By that point, you should have a number of people in the audience that have got their hands locked together. Now, if for some reason, as very rarely happens, nobody's hands are locked together, either because they didn't participate or they weren't concentrating enough, then you would simply ask for volunteers, because as it says in the course, 1 volunteer is worth 100 press men. You then get your volunteers on the stage. Obviously, we would have more than today because you would have an audience there. And one by one, you would use a different induction method to place those people into trance. As indeed you've just demonstrated, that was the falling backwards induction, again in your course. Once the person is under hypnosis, you need to deepen that trance to a level that's going to be, if you like, okay for the rest of the show. Now, with the falling backwards inductions we demonstrated earlier, I did that by telling Laura that when her hands separated and I dropped them on the floor, that she would sink 100 times deeper. There are various other ways of doing this, as I will demonstrate shortly. Once that trance is deepened, you've got one more vital thing you can do before you can carry on with the show, and that's to implant the major post-hypnotic suggestion, which is quite simply that for the rest of this evening, whenever I say sleep, as quickly as that, a snap of the fingers, that your eyes will instantly close, your head will instantly fall forward onto your chest, you will re-enter this state, except each and every time it will be 100 times more relaxing and enjoyable for you. And that for the rest of this evening, whenever and only when I say wide awake, then and only then, you'll instantly be wide awake and you'll have an overwhelming desire to do whatever I say. Once that post-hypnotic suggestion has been given to the subject, after them going through the suggestibility test, volunteering and coming to the stage, being hypnotised and the trance being deepened, you have then got a subject who can be used very successfully for the rest of the show. Your rest of the show will then continue, limited only by your own imagination, by giving different suggestions. We gave one example there by making the number 7 disappear. As you'll notice, the suggestion given was very concise and to the point that you can no longer count, say or think the number 7. The shorter your suggestions can be, but still very clear, the better it is, because there's no way that the subject can misunderstand what they're to do when they're brought, if you like, into the wide-awake trance with their eyes open. Once that suggestion's given, whatever it may be, you need then only say wide awake. The person will be awake, they will carry out your suggestion, and the moment you want them to go back, you just say, sleep. Back under they will go. Obviously, you can vary this by giving just all the women a suggestion, by saying all the ladies on the stage, or the men, by saying all the men. You've just got to make it clear who you're talking to, which is why we said earlier on, for the rest of this evening, I'm only talking to you if I touch you on the shoulder or indicate otherwise. So in other words, your people on the stage, once they're in trance, are not going to react to any suggestion unless you touch them on the shoulder and give it to them, so they know it's them and only them that's got to react. Or if you specifically say, all the ladies on the stage, in which case then your subject being female knows to react. And again, with the men, or you might just specifically say you, and tap a few people. That choice is yours. As with everything, it's best if you can go and see a stage hypnotist working live, and then you'll see it used in different contexts and in different ways. But for now, I suppose, before I go on to explain to you different induction methods, there's only one other really vitally important point, and that is once you've started your show and you've done your patter, you've got your volunteers to do the different suggestibility tests, got them to the stage, put them under, deep in that trance, and given the post-hypnotic. Indeed, you can carry on with the show then, but there's one vitally important other piece that's left, and that's of course to awaken them before they leave that building. This is important for 2 reasons. A, because if you told somebody they're Elvis Presley, every time they hear a piece of music, and they go home and hear that in their car, they might start dancing, which obviously could be dangerous. Also, it's to cover you legally, because the law says you must awaken them. And in all fairness, you want that person to go back to the audience and eventually back to their own home, feeling as good as, if not better than they did previously. So what I'm going to demonstrate now, before showing you different induction methods, if you like, is the awakening script, if you like, upon Laura for awakening her, which will go something like this. I'm now talking to each and every person upon the stage, I'm going to count from 1 to 10. On the count of 10 and only then, you'll open your eyes. You'll be your normal self in every way. You'll feel better than you did when you entered this building this evening. In fact, everything I've said will be completely cancelled out in every way. As on the count of 1, each and every suggestion I've given you tonight completely cancelled and erased from your mind, but a distant memory. 2 and 3, it's almost as though your whole body from tip to toe is being washed and cleansed with pure spring water, filling you with energy, optimism and happiness. As on 4, knowing that from this moment forward, when you leave this building tonight, you'll be your normal self in every way. There will be one side effect only, and that will be beneficial. That side effect will be that each and every morning when you awaken, you will awaken with a renewed confidence, an inner warm glow of confidence, an inner reservoir of willpower that you can draw upon whenever you want to, because you will be able to approach life and work out any obstacles in your path. As on 5, from tip to toe, feeling full of energy and happiness, feeling better than you did when you entered this building this evening. As 6, 7, 8, lighter and brighter coming up out of it now. On 9, your normal self in every way. 10, open your eyes, wakey, rise and shine. That's it. 1, 2, wakey. That's superb. That's the kind of wording you use to awaken your subject at the end of the show. Don't write it all down in black and white in the course with other examples. The wording is very much down to your own personality. The key thing is that everything's cancelled out of the mind, that they're the normal self in every way when they leave that building, and that they feel better than they did when they got there. If you remember those things in conjunction with what you'll read in the course, then let's be honest, already you know what to say when you get them on stage. You know how to initially get them in the right state of mind with the different suggestibility tests. You've now seen how you would induce a trance using the falling backwards induction, and indeed how to deepen that trance. implant the post-hypnotic suggestion, and carry out routines before awakening your subjects at the end of the show. They are the only keys to a hypnotic show. Whilst it looks like it's far more complicated if you've seen a hypnotist before, it really is that simple. The only variations you've got in a show is the different routines, many of which are suggested in the black and white text that you no doubt have beside you now. Obviously, it's more entertaining to the audience if you've got, say, 12 people on stage to use different induction methods on each of them. So what we're going to do is demonstrate different induction methods upon Laura, but we're not actually going to hypnotise her. For the purposes of this video, Laura is actually going to be fully conscious at all times, purely and simply so that we can ensure that you get to see everything clearly and learn from this in the best possible way. So first of all, I suppose we should cover in depth the falling backwards induction you saw right at the start. So if you'd like to stand up, Laura, that's superb. This can be done in one of two ways. The first way is if your subjects come up with their hands locked together. For the demonstration purposes, I'm going to do it as though you've just got a volunteer whose hands are not locked together. The only difference being is that if the hands are separate, the arms go by the side, as you will see in a moment, or if the hands are still locked together, they go against their chest, as you will see before, because you can always rewind the tape and look at it again. So what I'd like to do, Laura, is just face that way, that's superb, feet together, hands by your side, okay, tilt your head well back, take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now I'm going to go through that again, okay, if you'd like to stand up. If you're watching at home, watch carefully. We've asked Laura to put her feet together. There's two reasons for that. A, because it's easier for her to fall backwards, and B, because when my foot, my right foot, is flat against the back of Laura's heels, I can then act as a pivot, if you like. So even if she didn't feel as though she was falling backwards, a little bit of a pull and she would start falling. The next thing is that your right arm, middle finger, goes into the centre of the lower area of the forehead of your subject, as you say, and tilt your head well back. Close your eyes, which the subject then does, and breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Now, normally your hand will be held in the position that I've got it in now, but so that you can see at home roughly where my finger is, it's about centre. Now, as I was counting before from 3 to 1, I was slowly moving my finger like that, backwards, across Laura's forehead. So on the count of 1, when I said sleep, my finger would naturally come off and I could move my right arm down to support Laura as we laid her down onto the floor. If you notice her arms are by her side, because her head's tilted back, that makes her top heavy anyway, which means it's easier to fall back. The breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth slightly disorientates you, makes you feel a little bit dizzy. You might want to get a friend of yours to try this out on you after watching the video so you can actually see and feel those feelings, which are perfectly natural, but the subject comes to believe it's your suggestions. So then you will say 3, you can feel yourself falling gently backwards, but I'm not going to let you fall and hurt yourself. 2, as I tap you on the back, and you do this with your left hand, which can come round, and you tap on the left and right hand side of the subject's body, just near where their lungs would be, so it knocks them, as you can see, from left to right. Again, this disorientates them. It also helps hyperventilate them, which creates that dizzy feeling. But you tap them more so that it acts as a suggestion. You say, as I tap you on the back, this is a sign and a signal. A sign and a signal to relax, and then on 1, as you've gently been moving your finger, it falls back into that position, and you can lie your subject down on the ground. And in this example, unlike before where the hands were together and we said when I tap the back of your hands will separate and I drop them on the floor and you go deeper, you would quite simply go up and say, I'm just going to lift your hands up. You must warm the subject before you touch them, because otherwise that would bring them out of trance. So you say, I'm going to touch your hands. As I lift them up, the moment I drop them, you'll go deeper and deeper, and that would act as your trance deepening. You would then go into that post-hypnotic, as we've mentioned before, which I feel I don't need to repeat, because you can always rewind the video and look at it again. So if you'd like to stand up, alright, that's superb. So you've seen that in the separate elements. We're going to do it once through again so you can see it all together. So it will be something such as, if you'd like to just stand about there, that's super, feet together, hands by your side. There, tilt your head well back and close your eyes. And take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. As on 3, you're going to feel yourself falling gently backwards into my arms. Now, I'm not going to let you fall and hurt yourself. I'm just going to let you fall into a beautifully relaxed state. As you breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, on the count of 2, as I tap you on the back, it's just a sign and a signal to relax. As you feel yourself falling gently backwards. And on 1, you feel yourself falling back, and sleep. You can watch that as many times as you want. Unlike some training videos, I'm not going to go through that about 12 times, because what's the point when you can rewind and watch again and again? But that's the falling backwards induction. Okay, Laura, up to you get. Let's try one sat down, shall we? You can obviously, you may wish to hypnotise somebody who sat down, so if you just take a seat there, that's superb. We're going to take an example now of perhaps somebody that's already been hypnotised in the past, because that's the first thing you do when you get your subjects on stage. Ask, have any of you been hypnotised before? Because if they have, you've got a major advantage in so much as, because they've been hypnotised before, they know how to react, they know how it feels, they know that when they're hypnotised, their eyes close, their heavy head falls forward onto the chest, they breathe deeply and all that. It's already a conditioned response in them. All they need now is a trigger to go back into that state. That trigger is purely and simply, A, giving their consent that they will allow you to be the person to be that trigger, and B, believing that you're a professional hypnotist. The way to phrase that to them is to say something, as I'm about to do, like, the person who hypnotised you before, was it a professional hypnotist like myself? The moment they say yes, they're making both a conscious and subconscious agreement that you're just as professional or as skillful or powerful as a hypnotist as the person who put them under in the past. Therefore, their mind then comes to believe that if you say to them, sleep, the word that's already conditioned into them, that they will react in the same way as they did in the past, because they've just given a conscious agreement, effectively, that they will react to what you say. To the audience watching, it just looks like an innocent question. Have you been hypnotised before? Yes. Was it a professional hypnotist like myself? Yes. In actual fact, what you've done is got that person consciously to agree that they will react in the correct way. So we're going to imagine for a moment that Laura has already been hypnotised before. So when I ask her, has she been hypnotised before, she's going to say yes. And then when you see what I do, that will be the kind of induction to use. The first one we're going to use is what they call the hand wave technique. And that's what it's called in the course. So here goes. Okay, is there anyone who's been hypnotised before at all?
Yes.
You have, that's super. Was it by a professional hypnotist like myself?
Yes.
So you know that when you hypnotise, your eyes close, you get very relaxed and all that kind of stuff?
Yes.
Okay, one final question then. That being the case, could I have your permission, please, to use one of the fastest forms of hypnosis known to man?
Yes.
That's super. In that case, just look at my hand. Follow my hand with your eyes and sleep. As simple as that. If a person's been hypnotised before, and as I said before, we know Laura's not hypnotised. That's for purposes for your educational learning. But they've been hypnotised before, as it says in the course, it's a conditioned response. They have then said, yes, they've been hypnotised before. So they know what that conditioned response is. Secondly, when you ask them, was it a professional hypnotist like myself? When they agree to that, they've agreed that you're capable, or just as capable, of putting them back into that state as the person who originally did it. And finally, when you say, can I use a really fast form of hypnosis? And you've already said you know how to react kind of thing. When they say yes, you know for a fact the moment you say sleep, they're going to go back into that trance state, because although you've innocently asked as far as the audience is concerned, do you know how to react? I.e., you know when you're hypnotised, you feel very relaxed, your eyes closed. The way the person perceives it in their subconscious and conscious mind is as a reminder of how they must react when you say sleep. So it's as simple then as just saying sleep. The thing with the hand going like that, partly it's just showmanship, the other part of it is if you follow somebody's hand with your eyes like that, and you can try it at home, just take your hand and put it in front of your face and move your fingers up. You'll notice that as your eyes follow upwards and reach a peak here, that they get rather tired very quickly. And then when you move downwards, it does two things. The eyes follow, and naturally when you get to about here, If you're following it with your eyes, your eyelids will close. So it's easier to keep them shut. Especially when it's timed with the fact you say sleep, because you say sleep at the same time as the downward movement. One other thing happens here. When you're saying sleep, on that downward movement, your hand moves slightly inwards towards the person. This looks as though you're going to whack them in the face. Another good reason why they keep their eyes shut, because they don't want to see your hand going towards the face. Secondly, it also creates a bit of a draft as you make that movement. The draft moves towards the face, which they don't expect to feel. All that combined with them suddenly being told to sleep, being on stage in a situation where they feel the odd one out, if you like, in front of all the friends, feeling a little bit nervous, all combined together with the 4 key principles of hypnosis that I'll briefly mention again in a moment, as detailed in the course, to ensure that they go back into trance. Again, I'm not going to repeat that induction, because with all the inductions I'm going to demonstrate, it's as simple as rewinding the tape, watching again, and reading it, the relevant section in the course. So we're going to do a second example induction, which again is used on somebody who's been hypnotised before. So, Laura? Okay, so we know you've been hypnotised before, so we're going to take it from there. So, have you been hypnotised before?
Yeah.
That's great. Nice to meet you. What's your name?
Laura.
Laura, was it a professional hypnotist like myself? It was. In that case, just take a nice deep breath in. And sleep. Relax. Now in the course, that's called the handshake technique. Some of you watching will think, there's no way on this earth that that would work. All the same points as mentioned before for the hand wave technique are coming into play. Exactly the same. The fact you look confident on stage, the fact it looks like you personally believe that this will work, is transmitted to the subject. As long as they believe that you believe this will work, it will. Especially if they've been hypnotised before because of the conditioning I've already mentioned. From a physical aspect point of view, Laura, you can open your eyes. When you take them by the hand, this does 2 things. You've never met the person before. Taking them by the hand helps establish rapport. The reason you lift the hand slightly up is because it's not a normal position to be in. You're stood up, they're sat down, so when you talk to them, they've got to look up to you. Again, slightly disorientating. And when we get to the point of saying, in that case, sleep, so you've been hypnotised before? Yeah? Take a nice deep breath in. As they breathe in, you're looking at them. The moment they've, if you like, filled their lungs with air, that is the moment that you will bring down their hand rapidly like that, slightly across the body, so that the top half of their arm knocks against the chest, forcing the air out of the lungs, which again disorientates them, and also pulling forward at the same time, which naturally pulls the shoulders forward and the head, inclining them to go into that hypnotic position. So it will go something like, in that case, nice deep breath in, and sleep. And that is the handshake technique. Okay, Laura, open your eyes. A little point here on the side, those previous 2, the hand wave and handshake, should initially only be used on people who've been hypnotised before. Certainly in the early days when you're doing your first few shows, only ever attempt to use those 2 techniques on people who've been hypnotised before. You will find, as you become more confident as a hypnotist, as you get more experience, that you will be able to use them on people who've not even been hypnotised before. Purely because you will look so confident in what you're doing that you'll just be able to go up to them and say, what's your name? All right, sleep. And do exactly the same thing, and they will go under as long as they believe. Because that's where it comes down to, the 4 main points of hypnosis. Step 1, being belief and expectancy. In other words, if the person believes that you're a hypnotist and expects you to be able to hypnotise them, which is where all your advertising before the show comes in, the fact they've seen your poster up at the venue and stuff, as detailed in one of the first few chapters of the course, then they will be in the right state of mind and you will very successfully and easily be able to hypnotise them. The next step is disorientation and confusion. Now each of these methods and inductions that I've shown you and going to show you all contain some element of disorientation and confusion. With the hand shake technique just shown, it's the looking upwards and then suddenly having a hand whack against their own chest. The sudden loss of air from the lungs. All these things feel very strange when they're happening simultaneously. With the hand wave technique, we described how the the air comes towards the face, the eyes get strained. With the falling backwards, they're automatically disorientated, being in that position, off balance, breathing in, going dizzy. They've all got elements of naturally caused physiological body responses that happen because of the way the induction's done. Now, if you find that a little bit hard to comprehend, what I suggest you do is you get a friend and try these out. Don't expect to hypnotise them first time. Just carry out physical actions, action for action as you see me do it, word for word as you see me do it. And then ask your friend what they felt. And I'm sure that when they tell you they felt dizzy, etc., that knowing that that is a natural physiological response within the body will give you that little bit of extra added confidence you'll need to go on the stage and know that these inductions will work. Because the person on stage doesn't know that. They come to believe that what is happening is because of your suggestions that they will feel themselves falling backwards or whatever. They come to believe that the feelings they're having are unnatural. So if they're unnatural in their minds and don't normally happen, then something special must be occurring to them. Well, they think they're being hypnotised. So indeed they are. The moment they believe that, they are hypnotised, because all hypnosis is self-hypnosis in a state of mind. You've then got suggestion and repetition. Whether it be the deeper you go, the better you feel, or the better you feel, the deeper you go, or you'll feel yourself fall. Whatever the suggestion is irrelevant. A lot of it gets repeated several times, as you will have noticed with these inductions or the ones that follow. The combination of A, B and C leads to D, which is relaxation and sleep. Natural physical relaxation because of the breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. It's a technique used in many different relaxation techniques, yoga, meditation. Breathing has got an awful lot to do with physical relaxation. Psychological relaxation, to an element, but generally it's a state of heightened awareness, because the person's very much in a stage context, and I do stress only on stage, very aware, to an extent a little bit paranoid about the fact that they're on a stage in front of all the friends. Anyway, enough theory. You can read that in the course. It's all there in black and white. The idea of this video is just to go through those different inductions that you'll see in the course, for me to physically demonstrate the actions that I enact upon the person, so that you can very quickly try those out on your family and friends to prove to yourself that these feelings within the body, as described in the course, happen naturally because of what you're doing. When those natural things that happen are combined with the belief in the subject's mind, which has been instilled by the advertising, your music, your confidence on the stage, your opening patter and all that stuff combined, then that is when, and only then, they will genuinely be hypnotised. So let's go on with a couple more induction methods. If you like to stand up, Laura, this is what's known in the course as the falling boards induction. What I'd like to do, Laura, is just stand about there, feet together, hands by your side. You'll notice similar position as the falling backwards. Only difference here is I would stand also with my feet together to start with, between our toes, about 12 inches roughly gap. I'll place the flats of my hands on the side of Laura's head like so, just so that roughly my top finger is in line with the subject's eyebrow. I would get her to look directly into my eyes, so that if need be, incidentally, if you've got a subject who's slightly shorter than you, you just go down a bit with your leg, which will also be used in a moment. So just look into my eyes. I'm going to count from 3 to 1. On each number, you're going to feel yourself falling gently forwards towards me. Now, I'm not going to let you fall and hurt yourself. You're just going to fall. I'll catch you, and your eyes will close on the count of 1 and remain closed at all times. So on 3. You notice now that I start to move my right leg back. The reason for this is so I can lower my body. The reason for that is because as I move back, Laura's going to move forwards towards me. As she does, the only way I can keep eye contact at the same level is by lowering my body so my eyes are still in line. Hence the movement. So it will be 3, feel yourself falling gently forwards, 2, falling forwards gently, and on 1. Now on 1 she's ready to go, but I'm purposely just keeping her there a second. At this point, if the person is still stood, you can just knock them slightly. But either way, be ready to catch them like so. Make sure your hand is around the side of the body, especially if you're doing this particular induction on a female. There's nothing looks worse to an audience than if you catch hold of the female by a delicate area of the body. It won't look good at all. So make sure your arm ends up around them like so. So we'll do that one more time. My feet are together. I've got my hands there, roughly in line with the eyebrow. I'm going to count from 3 to 1. You heard what I said before, so you just need to see the physical action. My body starts to move back from 3, 2, and on 1. If I take that hand away, you can say I tick and catch. Either catch there on the shoulder or catch there across. Either way, make sure you catch hold of the person. At that point then, you give your post-hypnotic very quickly and then say wide awake and transfer the person to a seat to sit down. That's the falling forwards induction. Now I'm going to demonstrate what's called in the course the rubber legs induction. This is something that's used at the very start of the show. So Laura, if you'd like to perhaps move slightly to the centre here, that's great, feet together. And just if you'd like to perhaps also put your hands together like that, put them against your chest, and take your right foot and place it against your left foot like that. That's super. Close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. And even if I'm not talking to you, just continue to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. This is what's known as the rubber legs induction. We've now got Laura in the position it says in the course, with her right foot against the side of the left foot, as described in the course, with her hands against her chest. The reason for that is to make her top heavy. Her eyes are closed to help disorientate her, and she's breathing in the correct manner, in through the nose and out through the mouth, which again helps to both relax and disorientate. The idea of this induction is in that position, stood there, if I were to tap just ever so lightly there on the back of this leg, the left leg, but at the back, roughly just above the knee, the Laura's knees would naturally give way and she would fall to the floor. However, when you're using this induction on stage, you'll find that a large percentage of people, when you start giving the suggestions, because they get so disorientated, will just naturally fall to the floor. If that happens, super. But in most people it won't, in which case you would do as follows. So you'd be talking to your subject, such as, okay, everyone on the stage, continuing to breathe deeply in through your nose and out through your mouth. Every time I click my fingers, you will just find that you're going deeper and deeper. And the deeper you go, the better you feel, and the better you feel, the deeper you go. Not only do you relax more completely, every muscle in your body, from the tips of your toes to the tips of your fingers, but you find that your legs are turning to jelly. It's like they're turning to jelly. That's the kind of suggestion you're giving. Then if you want them to go, you give them the suggestion that when I say sleep and tap you, the moment I say sleep and tap you, you just fall to the floor. You won't hurt yourself and your eyes will remain closed at all times. And on 1, sleep. Now we've done that in slow motion so you can see the movement of the knees. But that movement of the knees from there, where I just knocked on the back of the left leg, naturally happens, as you saw in slow motion with Laura. You naturally end up going down to your knees before you fall to the side. Which is good because it means your subject isn't going bang to the floor. The way they're stood naturally ensures they don't hurt themselves when they fall down. As I say, when you've got 12 people on the stage stood in this position and you're giving suggestions that your legs are turning to rubber, you'll find that when you go up to one person and say sleep and tap the leg, that probably a few others will fall down as well. Great, it looks dramatic, but that's the rubber legs induction, full description in the course. Okay, Laura, you can stand up there. Okay, the world record high-speed hypnosis method. I'm not going to go into this in any great depth here on the video because it's all there in black and white. There's only one little point of that I need to show you. So if you'd like to just face that way again with your feet together. Maybe we should do this sideways on. Let's try it sideways on. Feet together. Everything is in the course in black and white. The only thing I want to point out to you is where it says in the course, you've got them staring at a light. Well, obviously that will be in front of them. It says that you're going to say to the subject, in a few moments when I tap you on the head and say sleep, you will fall backwards into my arms asleep. The movement, however, is such that when you come to them, your hand comes from behind the head like so. And instead of stopping at the head and tapping them and saying sleep, because they're staring at a white bright light that's now really disorientating their eyes and blurring their vision, what we actually do is come straight down in front of their eyes and cover their eyes up. So 1 minute it's dead bright, next minute it suddenly goes dark, which they don't expect because you've told them you tap them on the head. At the exact same time as doing this, your other hand that's free touches the bottom of the back and pushes it forward slightly. This combined with suddenly everything going dark with this hand and pulling the head back, pushing the body forward with the left hand, means that naturally once they're in a certain position, you can take your hand away and they're going to fall. And you can very quickly just go along the line and go, sleep, relax, and straight across the line. Okay, Laura, up you get. Although when you're using members of the audience, legally catch them. But if you should accidentally just let them fall to the floor, then that's your business, not mine. Okay, we're going to do what's known as the body flop induction. For this, we're going to sit you sideways on, Laura, so I'd like to just sit down there. Obviously, all these inductions will be done so that the subjects are facing the audience. We're doing it this way to increase the value of what you see and what you learn. So for this, you'll get the person sat in the chair. If you could just put your legs nice, straight, firmly to the floor, that's great. Hands on your lap, face upwards, that's superb. And what I'd like you to do is just close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. I'm just going to put my hands on your shoulders like so. And I'd like you to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. That's great. I'm going to count from 3 to 1. On the count of 1, when I say sleep, each and every muscle in your body is going to completely relax, and you're going to keep with your eyes closed at all times unless I say otherwise. 3. The deeper you go, the better you'll feel. And the better you feel, the deeper you'll go. 2. With every breath that you take, every noise that you hear, and every word that I say, going deeper and deeper. And on 1, just sleep. Now this leaves the subject in a rather awkward position. However, it looks A, funny to the audience, and B, it disorientates them. Once you've got them into the trance very quickly, because otherwise it's going to become very uncomfortable for them, do the post-hypnotic and awaken them. So you can sit up again, Laura. What's happened there is 2 things, and I'm not going to demonstrate again because you can rewind the video. The point of saying sleep, not only did they suddenly hear you say sleep in a commanding, sudden, loud manner, which is very loud considering you stood right next to the rear. It's going to scare the living daylights out of them. You suddenly go, sleep! At the same time, your hands have moved from the shoulders and swept their hands off the lap. But at exactly the same time, you've lowered your body, and as you're moving the hands off the lap, which they feel, what they don't expect is you, with your right shoulder, to push them forward in the chair like that. So that 3 things are happening at once. They're moving forward, which they don't expect. The hands fall off the lap, which they didn't expect. And they suddenly hear you going, sleep! The bit with that you need to practice is getting the movements all together. So it's hands move, body move, and sleep all at the same time. So it's just like, sleep! That will disorientate the person so much they will go into trance. That's the body flop induction. Now I'm going to show you what's called the arm spin induction in the course. So for this, ideally you would use it on someone who's come to the stage with the hands locked together. If the hands aren't already locked together, it's no problem. You would do as we're going to do now and just ask the subject to put their hands together like that. So if you like to put your hands together like that, that's brilliant. Feet nice and flat, that's superb. That's great, however you feel comfortable. I'm just going to count from 3 to 1. What I'd like you to do is close your eyes. As you do, just relax. I'm going to move your arms like so, slowly in a circle. And as I count from 3 to 1, as I move your hands slowly in a circle, it's just a sign and a signal to relax. Because on the count of 1, your eyes will remain closed at all times, but you'll feel every muscle in your body suddenly relax. 3, the deeper you go, the better you'll feel. 2, relaxing with every breath that you take, every noise that you hear, and every word that I say. And on 1, just sleep. Relax. We've ended up in the same position as we did with the body flop. It looks entirely different to the audience law. I suppose you could call this a reverse body flop, because instead of pushing the subject, you pulled them. But there's something else that comes into play here. Laura, if you'd like to just get back in position, put your hands together. Because the person's got their eyes closed, when you're slowly moving their arms and holding them very lightly by the wrist in a rhythmic circle, that movement, which is kept at the same rhythm, becomes rather relaxed. It's naturally moving the shoulders, and the shoulders is where a lot of stress and tension is stored. So it's naturally, if you like, doing an indirect shoulder massage. But the rhythmic movement, it's like the wheel in a car that sends a baby to sleep. And then it's totally unexpected when on the count of 1 you pull the hands apart, but at the same time, so it's apart and forward, you're pulling them forward. They don't expect that they're going to suddenly feel the body going apart, forward. That is what disorientates them, if you like, shocks them in. Right, considered, Laura? That's superb. I'm going to continue with just 2 more examples. I know there's more inductions than that in the course. I can hear you all crying at home. How are we going to learn the rest of them? Well, hopefully, I credit with you with enough intelligence as my student to be able to know that you've watched these several inductions and seen the way I've wrote it in action. I'm sure you'll be able to interpret the rest with the greatest of ease. Your backup service is always there if you need it, but I'm sure with a little bit of common sense, getting a friend along to your house and putting into action what you see in print, you'll have no problems at all. Anyway, you've got enough inductions to get you started to do your first few shows, and then perhaps you'll want to come along and see me in person where we can go through as many inductions as you want, as many times as you actually want. So 2 final ones. The first one in the course is called the finger stare induction, which will go something like this. Okay, what I'd like you to do is, as you sat, that's perfect. I'm going to place my finger out like this. I'd like to stare directly at my fingertip. Okay, keep your head where it is, but just stare at my fingertip. I'm going to count from 3 down to 1. On the count of 1, you'll find that your eyes are closed. They will remain closed at all times unless I say otherwise. So on 3, following my fingertip at all times with your eyes, finding that the deeper you go, the better you'll feel. And the better you'll feel, the deeper you'll go. Just keep looking at my fingertip at all times. As on 2, eyes getting so heavy and so tired. Keep following that fingertip. Keep following that finger. And on 1, just sleep. Relax. 2 things happen here. One is, a little bit like before with the hand wave technique, the focusing on your finger, which is above their eye level, strains the eyes. The second thing you should probably notice is that as I was counting from 3 to 1, my finger was moving at such a speed that 3, on the count of 3 as I was talking, it got roughly to the nose. On the count of 2, it went just below the nose line, and on 1, just before I said sleep, it's got to such a low level that to actually keep following that fingertip, you've got to have got your eyes to the point where they're almost closed. So then when you just tap them on the shoulder and bring them forward and say sleep, they do. That's the finger stare induction. One final one for this, stand up if you would please. That's superb. Now, you may be wondering what a bottle of mineral water has got to actually do with hypnosis. To be honest, absolutely nothing, but the reason I'm using this and not a microphone, because this is what's known in the course as the Craig Williams microphone induction. It's purely and simply, can I guess, the average student at home hasn't got a microphone yet, hasn't invested the money in one. So you don't feel silly rehearsing at home, probably with a bottle of something, then that's what I'm going to use instead of a microphone as well. But this would normally be your microphone on stage that you would talk into at the beginning, so obviously you can be heard, and it will go something like this. If you like to put your hands together like that, one little point here, obviously if the hands are already like that, because they've come up with the hands locked together, no problem. You just vary it as you did before with the falling backwards. Hands together at the start means you use the hands separating as the deepening technique. Hands not together, you can still use it as the deepening technique because you've started them off like this. So for this, I'd like you to just stand facing me. Move this way a little bit, that's great. Feet together, superb. Place your hands about there, that's great. I'm just going to take hold of that. And I'd like you to stare directly at the tip of the microphone. Keep staring at the tip of the microphone at all times, because I'm going to count from 3 to 1. On the count of 1, you're going to feel yourself falling backwards to sleep as the microphone taps you on the head. In fact, you might just want to take another little step this way. You should put your feet together, that's superb. A little note on the side, it's always good to keep altering your suggestions and moving the subjects around, because the more you get them obeying your suggestions, the more they get conditioned to do whatever you say, whatever it is, without thinking about it. A bit like the soldier on parade. He's told to do things, he does them immediately. Okay. stare at the tip of the microphone. I'm going to count from 3 to 1. So on 3, you should keep staring at the microphone, noticing that as the microphone gets closer and closer, your eyes get more tired and heavy. Heavy and tired with each second that passes by. 2, keeping your eyes on the microphone at all time, wherever it may move, getting deeper and deeper. The deeper you go, the better you'll feel. I won't let you fall and hurt yourself. And on 1, just sleep. Now, as long as you don't get your foot caught under your subject as I did, which if you did, you would say something like, when I wake you in a few moments, you will not have a bad back. When you hear hypnotists say that and you thought it was a joke, they're probably being deadly serious, because I can't tell you the number of times I've had to say that. Or indeed, don't hit the hypnotist. But the thing with that is, stand up, Laura, if you would, that's great. You would have seen most of that. The feet are together, you've got the pivot thing like with the falling backwards. And just like the fingers there, the microphone, I'll put my hand behind you this time, just to gets them to such a point that by the count of 1, they're off balance, so when you tap them, they're naturally going to fall back. That's the falling backwards induction. You've got using a microphone. This has been my lovely assistant Laura. I'm Alex-Leroy. Watch this video, read your course, and very soon you will be on stage and hopefully sending me a copy of your video. Thank you for watching.